So this is the long-awaited film from director Yorgos Lanthimos, who previously did The Favorite, Killing of a Sacred Deer, The Lobster, those kinds of really off-the-wall films. He returns with Emma Stone as Bella Baxter, who is in a somewhat Frankensteinian uh, role where she has been created. I don't want to give too much away, but she basically has been reanimated and she has the mind of a child, but is accelerating, learning the world very quickly um, through through the time. She's been created by Willem Dafoe's Dr. Godwin Baxter, who they just call God as short. Um, and he wants to study her. He wants to see, he's a scientist. He wants to see how she adjusts to the world. But Bella grows up very fast, and she begins to feel very imprisoned by her situation. They don't let her out, of course, because she's essentially a child, and she doesn't know the ways of the world. She doesn't understand like a polite society, which gets referenced a lot. Eventually, they can't really contain her, and she's kind of too unruly to just keep in a cage. And she eventually breaks out into the world. Uh, she meets Mark Ruffalo's character, Duncan, who is a man of the world and looking to take advantage of her, but realizes he really can't, and that Bella will not be controlled as easily as many men in her life attempt to make her. Uh, it's a really fascinating movie. That's our plot setup. I'm not going to say too much more past that. It's really bizarre in a lot of ways in the performances, in the choices of things like lens, the setting, the set design. Really incredible stuff. Can't wait to talk about it. Zach, what do you think?
So Poor Things is got to be one of the weirdest movies of the year, right? Like it's so odd. At its surface level, it reminds me of like the best parts of weird Tim Burton. You know what I mean? Insane production design, wild costumes, way out there performances, all of course from Yorgos Lanthimos, director of God, The Lobster, The Favorite, Killing of a Sacred Deer, all films we've watched and covered on this show. Please go back and listen to the reviews if you like this one. Yorgos Lanthimos is such an odd dude, man, and I love that this has got to be uniquely his most strange out there feature, but also I think maybe his most accessible, because while those other movies are bonkers weird, it's almost entirely script. The visuals are pretty down to earth. Favorite gets weird, but it's not that odd. This one, I think, has this freshness to it as we experience the world through Bella Baxter's very new eyes. Like, really interesting, really weird. I'm really excited to talk about it. Boy, I'm nobody's going to get to see this movie because it's not in theaters anywhere, Andy. It sucks.
Yeah, we really struggled to find this. We had to go to the flagship Cinemark. Shout out to Cinemark West Plano uh,
Dude, that place is
to see this.
nice.
Yeah, wasn't playing anywhere. It's a fascinating movie. It actually pairs well with Barbie because they're both these Pinocchio-like stories. There's been a lot of comparisons to Frankenstein, which it's that, but it's also definitely the Pinocchio story about this person going out into the world, being naive of it, but also somehow being more enlightened of it because of that ignorance. Like Bella she doesn't know how to behave in polite society. Like she speaks from her mind exactly what's on her mind, no matter like how crass or how inappropriate. She spits food out at the table because it doesn't taste good instead of just like you know swallowing it or just maybe disposing of it in a napkin. Like she's very, just does what her simple mind kind of thinks. But the thing is, she gets smarter as the film goes on. Like she's learning at an accelerated rate. So like things like her vocabulary improves, her thought process, her philosophy. And it's interesting because she's exposed to kind of a wide world of ways of living. Like she has uh Ruffalo's Duncan Wedderburn, who's this brilliant charlatan. Like, she learns his very kind of hedonistic way of life, and then she meets these other people on a ship, and she learns the kind of nihilistic philosophy of one of the passengers, and other people when goes to Paris. She has all these really wide experiences to kind of learn all aspects of life.
Really charming cast here, led by I'll go in reverse order. I should say not led by Rami Youssef as Max McCandles, who is a young uh, 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 physician who's studying under Dr. Godwin Baxter, our strange and eccentric scientist played by Willem Dafoe, who's like going like big Willem Dafoe. You know what I mean? Real weird, big facial prosthetics. He's got his own horrifying backstories that are unique and strange and full of body horror that really encapsulate the kind of person he is, and his home where our first act takes place, where Bella Baxter is coming up. It's weird kooky walls and weird paint and textures, and there's odd animal creatures walking around that have been spliced together like Frankenstein creatures. Of course, it is a delight to watch Mark Ruffalo doing something that's not just like Marvel Dad again. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
people forget that Mark Ruffalo is in David Fincher's Zodiac. He's in Scorsese's Shutter Island, right? He's in God, that movie with about the priests and the Mark, I don't remember. I'm doing that. I can't remember. Anyway, Mark
Can't
Ruffalo
remember.
does weird
Sorry.
stuff sometimes. And I know it'll come to me as soon as I'm done with this thing. He does weird stuff sometimes. It's nice to hear him doing it again as the horrifically predatory Duncan Wedderburn, but also the laughable loser. Like, just this great performance. But I think it's got to be held down by Emma Stone as Bella Baxter, who is going to be nominated for every acting award for this and might likely should win it. I think the movie's too weird and she won't, but she is incredible as this childlike, wide-eyed Bella Baxter character who is finding herself and learning about the world and acting as this vehicle in which we can turn a mirror on society, right? And people can tell her, Bella, you can't have another slice of cake. That's not polite. And you can't just stay inside and read a book all day. You have to go do things. That's what people do in society. And we can realize that we ourselves are the poor things, not so much Dr. Godwin's strange creations. Emma Stone's incredible in this. She's incredible.
Yeah, amazing performance because it's very physical because she like she stumbles around when she's first walk. She doesn't really know how to walk. The entire film, she never really is ever graceful in her walk. That's that Frankenstein thing. She's like learning her body, and it starts out very like she's really uncoordinated. Like doesn't know how to sit, doesn't know how to like lay in a chair, and um, falls a lot. But she becomes more coordinated the longer the film goes. Interesting enough, her kind of the first act is in black and white, and then we shift to color. But she also just her mannerisms, her facial expressions, her speech, because especially at first, like she cannot talk at all, and then she very quickly learns rudimentary language. But it's a long performance in that way as well. Really amazing though.
Yeah, incredible. And ultimately, like, I love the way we see the world Bella Baxter sees, right? That's why we've got this like super saturated but also like oddly desaturated world that we see things through. A bunch of the beginning of the film is in black and white, right? As Bella grows, we too grow to see the larger world around her. And as she kind of goes on this journey, it is an adventure film, right? We're going out and coming back. We get to see the wider parts of kind of culture and how it works, right? Not only like the difference between customers and wait staff at a nice restaurant in Paris, to also like the difference between like the rich and the poor, and this leads to some very, very, very funny situations in which Bella is struggling to understand like why people have to put up with certain things. She functionally is playing like the id here. She is just speaking her mind as anybody would, just free of thoughts of others and thoughts of self. Like, just hey, here's exactly how I feel. It's really delightful. Sometimes that's throwing a tantrum when she wants another slice of pie. Other times that's I guess we should probably mention the wild sexual acts. This is a hard R-rated feature, and there's no better way to jump into it than that. Hard R, and thank God bless him that we go see a movie from somebody who is not afraid of the R rating, leans all the way in, or I should say, it makes her want to stay up and dance all night, or I don't know, like embrace socialism as an ideology. Like, very funny, very meta. A good time, I think, for any intelligent film goer. I think you will enjoy watching Poor Things.
Yeah, I was going to say that there's been some controversy about that part. Some people, like, I heard about people walking out, leaving the theater, which I always know it's going to be a good a good thing. In a fun film, if people are doing that, throwing up in the aisles, I always like to say, no, there are a lot of explicit sex scenes, but that's part of the um, it's part of the theme because like one of the things Bella does as she's experiencing life is she, you know, her sexuality and discovering her own sexuality is part of the her journey, and it's a big commentary on women and women and just like the society we live in. Um, it's also like I said, some people have been upset about the sex scenes, but I think one thing that was interesting to me is it's not like the erotic thrillers of the '90s where you're trying to like arouse the audience, that sort of thing. It's just very matter of fact, you know, compared to the you know, her wanting to eat as much pie as she wants, and then she gets sick. She kind of is like that with everything. She takes everything to the extreme to kind of find out where the limits are. Um, so I thought there are a lot of those scenes, but I think it's handled very well, and it's very meaningful as part of like the character's journey and the story it's telling.
Mm. Just some final thoughts for recommendations from me. Incredible soundtrack, weird, kooky synthesizer, tons of fun,
Yep,
wild
love it,
performances all
love
around.
it.
And also, for anybody out there, I think who wants to get a crash course in like what it means to have like distinctive lens choice, please watch a Yorgos Lanthimos feature, specifically this one, if possible. And if you can't, watch The Favorite, because lenses are such a big part of the movie. Like sometimes we have a pinhole camera lens, otherwise we have like a wide fisheye that looks like I'm in a skate, an old Jackass sketch. Like I love the way Lanthimos like sees the world, like, and the way he wants us to see the world through Bella Baxter's eyes is really really great. Genuinely reminds me of like the best old parts of Tim Burton. Like really odd, right? Like those old Beetlejuice sets, like really strange stuff, you know, off the wall. Who's gonna go to this? We can only get it in 82 theaters in America. It's rated hard R. Boy, Poor Things is bold cinema. Andy, any other thoughts for recommendations?
I think I'm ready.
Andy, would you recommend Poor Things?
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the best movies I've seen all year. I've been looking forward to it. It was actually supposed to come out a little bit earlier in the year, but it was delayed because of the writers and actors strikes. I'm glad it was able to come out this year. Phenomenal performances by Willem Dafoe, Christopher Abbott, um, Emma Stone, of course. Uh, all around and a great story, like I said, pairs well with something like Barbie. It's about women's issues and women's places in the world and the experiences they kind of go through and fight against. Really enjoyed this. I can't wait to see this again in theaters.
We should see if we can patron our local drive-in theater to do like a double feature in the middle of the summer, like Barbie and Poor Things. That'd be super rad. It's a little long at 2.5 hours, but let me tell you, Poor Things is a really good time. Every once in a while, somebody asks me, but you know, on the podcast, what's a weird movie you guys watched recently? Something really out there. Poor Things will be the answer for a minute. It is so odd. If you are interested, if you think you might be into it, go see it. You're probably exactly who the movie's made for. Like really fun, really interesting, not for everybody. Poor Things. Also, content warning. Hard R. Let me just one more time. I just want to put that out there. You guys, you heard it here first. Nobody come back here and tell me you watch Poor Things and oh, it was so dirty and oh, it was so weird and I can't believe you recommended that movie. How could you, you creep? None of that. All right, Poor Things is cool. Like ringing endorsement from Oscar Film Review.
Yeah,
And we should,
don't watch it on like Christmas Day with the family.
dude, don't watch with your parents. Yeah, no. Not that kind of movie. Anyway, we should talk about what we're doing next week. We got a holiday coming up, Andy. We got to work on a top 10 list somewhere in there, which I don't even know if we've figured out yet. What are we watching next week?
Well, Christmas is right around the corner, but bold cinema never stops. We're going to be taking a look at The Iron Claw, which is the Von Erich wrestling film starring Jeremy Allen White, Harris Dickinson, and of course the great Zac Efron. I finally remembered everyone's name. I heard a lot of buzz about that. Really excited about that. We're also going to be taking a look at Maestro, which is the Leonard Bernstein biopic that's comes out today on Netflix, which stars and directed by Bradley Cooper and also Carey Mulligan. Those are the two we're going to be looking at. Also, just some FYI releases. Christmas Day, The Color Purple and Ferrari come out, and also this Friday, Aquaman and The Lost Kingdom, which is so small. Like they didn't do any red carpet premiere. They didn't like talk about the end of the DCEU. I'm actually still I'm kind of excited about it. I'm definitely going to go see it. I'll be the only one in the theater, but yeah, the end of the DCEU is on us.
I tell you what, the other day when I went and saw Wonka, I was standing outside the theater where I saw it, and up on the building, the theater building, they had a big LCD screen, LED screen where they run, trailers for movies or whatever, and all they were running back to back was Aquaman 2 promos, right? Jason Momoa, Patrick Wilson, big flash logo, the ice falling down on the thing, wave, like, and I stood there staring at it for a minute, and I was like, God, it almost feels like I'm in a place where the culture cares about Aquaman too. You know what I mean? But like, it's just a flash in the pan. I don't think people care that much. It might do great, dude. I don't know. I don't think it's going to do good, but Christmas is always weird. We'll see. Either way, I didn't see Aquaman 1 and I'd feel weird watching Aquaman 2 without the reference. I am excited for Maestro. I don't know. We'll see. Iron Claw, I think, will be good. I tell you what, though, Andy, I don't think I have much more room on the top 10 list for good movies in 2023. There's too many good movies. It might be a top 20 this year, and I don't know when we're
Yeah,
going to do it. But hopefully
it might
before the
have.
new year.
Yeah, 2024 has been really stacked because we had not a lot of movies in like 2020, 2021, and into 2022 because of the pandemic. And now a lot of those things that were greenlit all came out this year. And so we've just had a ton. Like I put together my 10, but I have like five more I need to at least mention and could easily do a top 20. It's been a great year for film.
Yeah, it's been bananas. Imagine if Dune had been this year. I can't keep up. But if you also are having trouble keeping up with what's coming out, right? Maybe you missed a couple cool features that you wanted to see. Maybe you want to go back and revisit something that you heard about. You can check us out at offscriptfilmreview.com, where all our reviews go up, everything we do. We're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, all the usual social media places. We're on YouTube. We're posting individual reviews now. Big things going on the YouTube channel. You got to come check us out. And of course, you may be listening to this right now on one of our podcast outlets, right? iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartMedia, any one of those usual suspects. We're available on all of them, and the best way you can help us out, if you want to support the show, right, free of charge, costs you nothing, just rate and review, or subscribe, or comment, or like. Engagement in some fashion, right, would help us out immensely, so we really appreciate it. And like I said, if you want to see what we're doing, other things we got going on, keep up with our top 10 list coming up hopefully before the end of the year. Still working on them, but we'll finalize them soon. You can check us out at offscriptfilmreview.com, and if you want to email us directly, any messages for you boys here at Offscript Film Review, you can email us at mail@offscriptfilmreview.com. And I think that wraps episode 237. Wow. What a week of the movies. Andy, thank you again for phoning in from Florida. I appreciate it. The fans appreciate it. We all appreciate your hard work and effort. And from all of us at Offscript, the home of bold cinema, I'm Zach Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Draper.
Thanks for watching.